Hi, hello. Shit. Oh God, it's 2025. I gotta get better at starting podcasts. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another glorious episode of Jeff Has Cool Friends. It is me, Jeff, of Having Cool Friends fame, and I'm very excited to talk to one of my very cool friends. I am very excited to meet one of the funniest, but also one of the most talented artists I know. She's so brilliant. She's got incredible work that you're gonna have to check out. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrea Guzzetta.
Hi guys, what's up?
Hi. Don't talk to them directly. Talk to
Oh,
me.
sorry. Hi, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. Leave them out of this.
Oh, okay.
How dare you? Andrea, we met through comedy a
We
while back,
did.
like a while back. And then nothing. We weren't in each other's orbits particularly often. We'd see each
Yes.
other at random, terrible Los Angeles open mics.
Oh
Like
God, were
you.
they terrible?
They sure
Oh
were.
wow.
You ever try telling jokes competing with a blender?
Yes, I have, Jeff. Thank
You
you
sure
so
have.
much.
Right near Echo Park, perhaps?
My favorite is when you go to a venue and people are angry that you're talking.
I actually prefer that.
Does
That's
it
one of my,
remind you of
like,
home? Is that
yes, as a matter of fact, yes. Because the quintessential Boston comedy location is in the back of an
Ooh.
Italian restaurant where families are trying to eat while you're making cum jokes. That is what Bostonians love. A lot of Trumpy Bostonians, that's their whole thing.
It's just like covering a child's ears.
Yeah, and when they're like, so this chick, and you're like, why'd you become Brooklyny all of a sudden? And like, because I forgot my own accent. No, yeah, no, the open mic scene in Los Angeles is delightful. And yeah, you're right. Like my favorite is there's one near my house, the place called The Good Night, run by the incredible Joe Kay and Kevin Anderson, two wonderful
Adorbs.
people. But it's always right before karaoke. And so the karaoke people get there and they see just the most depressed, angry men just
Yeah.
going off on why they want to die. And then they're like, I want to sing Rihanna. And we're like, you will shut the fuck up. And that's great. But then we just kind of lost each other's orbits for a while until we were reunited by a podcast.
Horror Virgin.
We were reunited by Horror Virgin Live. We had both been guests of the show. I believe we were pretty popular guests on the show. People seem to like us.
Luckily for us, yeah, we're
Oh,
cool and fun. So
I
that's,
know.
yeah.
I know. Some people hated me because I talked. And
How dare you?
there were some people that like immediately were like, I don't like the way Jeff was talking down to Paige. And it's like I wasn't. And
Also,
I listened to the episode again. I'm like, I think I was just talking.
I think Paige has, this is what I'm going to say. I don't think it's really possible to talk down to
You
Paige
cannot. That
because
woman is Teflon.
she will put you in your place
Yeah.
immediately.
Yes. And of course, guys, you have heard the Horror Virgin episode of this show. And if you haven't, it's super great. I had all three guests at the time because Mikey was there on the show, and it was
Aw,
such a blast. And you can
fun.
understand why I could never talk down to Paige Wesley.
Not even once.
She is dominant and Teflon and brilliant and what. So we were at Flappers, greatest comedy club in Los Angeles.
That's what I've always said.
So
Yeah.
everyone says this. And we did the N words like, oh yeah. And it's almost like we remembered each other in the moment. We're just like,
Yeah.
fuck yeah. Oh
I've
my
seen you
God.
around.
Yeah. It's been like
Yeah.
8 years since we've
Oh
seen each other or
God.
something.
For real though.
But it was so much fun. You were so funny.
Oh, thank you.
And sort of we reconnected. And of course, I'm reconnecting with a comedian. And I'm like, all right, so I'm just gonna like, we follow each other on Instagram, and I look, and it's just the most incredible art. It is, I don't know how to describe it other than like it is like if Lisa Frank happened during the Renaissance, and it was
Mm.
terrifying.
I got it. I've heard Lisa Frank by Hieronymus Bosch is a good
I
one.
was gonna bring up Hieronymus Bosch, but I
Yeah.
think your stuff is a little more
It's
polished.
it's a little cuter. It's a little more Polly Pocket. A lot of my inspo is like Polly Pocket, Littlest Pet Shop, 90s girl nostalgia, but also skulls
You do
and
put
history.
There's this really great dichotomy into your work.
Thank you.
And as I look through, because first off, you do a lot. You do a lot. You're a very
I
talented artist.
do.
And I know that sounds stupid to me for me to go, you do a lot. But what I'm saying is like I've seen you do these incredible pet portraits that are like practically photorealistic but clearly paint, right? And you
Yeah.
do them in
Thank
your
you.
style. But then I'm also seeing your floating island stuff,
Yeah. Those are
which
kind of my special place in my heart.
they are because they're great. They're amazing.
Really fun. You're just making a little world and you're putting a little bunch of little guys in there.
Yeah, it's like terrariums, right? Like that's
Exactly.
yeah. And so like all through there, and then I would see other stuff like I saw that you were doing stained glass work and
Oh, yeah.
design and stuff like that. And I was like, damn, like the talent is out of control. And that amped it up where I was just like, I think I look up to you. You're like you're not a
Look,
peer anymore. You're like way up there. Like your stuff is so good.
with ADHD and a praise kink, all things are possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
buddy, you and me both.
yeah, it's interesting because I came up with a sculpture degree. I started doing stand up in 2015. I did it for about 5 years. I quit around the pandemic, and then I've just been doing art. But while I was doing stand up, my day job was painting stained glass. So I was designing and painting stained glass windows, mostly for churches, sometimes for private residencies. And then because that's such a specialized skill set, I continue to do freelance work doing that. So I kind of have my fingers in a lot of pies at all times, and that keeps me fed.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Thank you.
Like that's really awesome. Like I
Yeah.
I I looked at it and like as I have learned more about you, it has been one of those things where it's just like really great. Like you did at the end of January, you did a Totoro
Oh, yeah.
inspired version of that. And it's just like I think it was like a
It's a
heart
heart.
shape.
It's a
Yeah,
little
okay.
glass heart. It's just cute. Sometimes you just want to make a cute thing. Sometimes you just want to like a little world with some little guys in it. And like, I think it's interesting because I came from an art school discipline where they're like, what's the meaning of this? And why did you make this? And people are like welding balloons into cages. And like, there's
Yeah.
this sort of esoteric, like, oh, I forgot to do my project. So I thought of something last night.
Oh
Art.
yeah, very, very ghost world. Very,
Yeah.
very like found art. Like
Very like, well, it's really about the shapes you don't see, It's like like I created an installation of vaginas made out of soap and you're like, "Okay, cool. Not for
yeah.
me."
All art is art. I recognize this, but that's not very good.
Yeah, it's just that's not for me. My thing is like I love lots of detail. I love interesting and difficult skills. Like I love a skill mastery. So like when I gravitate to art, I'm like, did you do it well? Does it look polished? Does it look good? Like all of those technical considerations are really important to
Very
me.
ADHD of you too.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
And I grew up my stepdad is a carpenter and he actually built our house from scratch. So he like designed it and built it. He started building it in 1991. When I moved in 7th grade, it still was not complete. It did not become complete until after I left. So I basically got to like watch him build our house,
Nice.
which is cool, but it helped me understand a lot of like craftsmanship and technical things that I probably would not have understood otherwise. And so it's something I continue to gravitate towards. I remember taking my stepdad to a gallery show and he's looking at the frames, trying to figure out what kind of wood they are, trying to figure out how they made the thing.
That's refreshing.
Yeah, it's really that's who my stepdad is and I learned so much from him and he also does not give compliments. So like I'd make something and he'd look at it and be like, "Hmm." And that would be like, "You did a good job." Cuz
Yeah.
like
I
there's
have no
nothing I can
notes.
criticize.
Yeah.
Yeah, no notes is like the praise. You know what I
Oh, yeah.
mean?
Oh, that's awesome. Man, what must that be like? Yeah, I also like there's something to be said, and of course, a lot of my friends, their jobs is art. Their job is art. They choose
Yeah.
comics and print art and stuff like that. And there is something to be said about like, well, the statement that I'm making with this piece is X. But some of it is just like, I like Batman. I wanted to draw Batman. And then other
Yeah.
ones like, I like paying my rent. I wanted to pay my rent. Like
Yeah.
those are all viable reasons for art.
I agree.
And so I love that because like sometimes the symbolism is very clear
Thank
in
you.
some of your work. Like some of it, it's just like you're
There's a
not even there's
skull
no subtlety when it's just like a lot like a skull in the middle of a fruitful garden or something like
yeah,
like noted, you know.
for sure.
But also sometimes it's just like this thing looks good and I like
It's just cute.
Pokemon. I want to do a Pokemon. Or like that's
I
awesome. Or
I
like oh,
think when I'm thinking about like the skull pieces, when there's like a skull terrarium, so the terrarium, the glass, quote unquote, is shaped like a skull, and the whole background will be like a pastel. There'll be a bunch of rainbows. There's stars in the sky. There's clouds. It's very like soft,
mhm.
gentle. But then the shape is a skull, and for me, that comes back to thinking deeply that our mortality is like the only thing we all share.
It's the
Like
guarantee, yeah.
it's the guarantee. It's something I've thought about for a long time. Is like, hey, we're all gonna die someday. And that
You
is
memento morian, bro?
it's yeah, I'm a mental mori pretty hard, bro.
Yo, she's memento morian her ass off, bro.
Facts, bars. Yeah, it's
Bet.
really all about like you're creating a world where there's adorable little animal families and they have everything they need. They have water, they have family, there's all these vibrant flowers and fish and whatever they eat. And then just this reminder that like this is all just a moment, man. So it's like it can be super like deep if you're a hippie who loves weed, but also I think it's can on another level just be kind of cute.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with either interpretation.
And I love that it's not just either interpretation, but it's either intent
Yeah.
as well. And I think
Yeah.
that's really, really wonderful. And so I've really, really enjoyed watching the stuff that you put out, watching your gallery
Thank
stuff
you.
that you have. And like, I have questions. Like a lot
Oh.
of the questions, I mean, obviously I have questions. I wouldn't bring you on to my show if I'm just like, I just wanted to tell you that you're really good.
We're just staring at each
Yeah,
other the
get a
whole
20-minute
time.
pod out of the way of me just being like, hey, you're really good at making art. And then be like, all right, guys, I'll see you in a couple weeks. No, like
Bye.
I do have a lot of questions because there's a lot, there's a lot I want to know, but also there's a lot that I want my listeners to know.
Hmm.
It's almost as if I am acting as their proxy. I know.
Are
Oh my
you a
God.
host of a podcast? That's
Man, oh my God.
crazy.
Can you believe that? Can you believe it's not just
Okay.
me and another white comedian being like, you know, actually, the way to real success is to like just wake up at 5 a.m. every day. It's that grind mindset, baby. Those men should all die.
God, Paige and I have talked about this so many times about like the manifestation genre is just really white privilege.
Thank you.
Maybe it's manifestation. Maybe it's having a rich dad.
Yeah.
Who
You got to
knows?
put success out there. I was like, I think your dad put success in your mom when you
Yeah.
were born. And now you think that you are responsible for anything that you've done.
Yeah.
Um, like for example, like a gallery piece, like
Hmm.
what are the average sizes of your paintings? Like I remember you did one that was, I think it was Arch Enemy had a gallery thing, and you did like it was basically a manatee
Oh,
with
yeah.
a thing on its back with like a garden,
Little
an
world.
Andrea Guzzetta garden on the
Yeah.
right, which I loved. There was lots of animals in there and stuff like that. It looked like Bambi in there, you know.
Yeah. There's a little baby deer.
What's the size of a piece like that, right? Because if it's a gallery show, that means you were selling the piece, and I believe it's sold.
That one
So,
has not.
oh, it hasn't. Okay.
I don't think so. The Totoro piece has sold.
Oh,
But so the smallest I've made a terrarium is 8 by 8 inches. That is tricky. It's pretty
that's
tight in there.
a lot of magnifying glasses and small.
I kind of just simplify it. So I'll say, like, there's one figure, there's
Okay.
only one animal. There might be like, for example, a red panda and like a little fish, but there's not a bunch of flora and fauna. And then I'm decorating the little world a little bit. And then the largest I've gone so far is the Polly Pocket piece I just did. And that's 20 inches by 30 inches.
Oh, okay, that is of size.
Yeah,
How
it's
long is it?
definitely has to be almost.
How long does that piece take? That's a very complicated one.
That
You
piece
did it.
probably.
So in description, real quick, we say the Polly Pocket piece.
Oh,
It is an
yes.
open heart compact
Yes.
that is in the vein of Polly Pocket, if you remember, or if you are a boy, Mighty Max,
My brother
replace
had
your
those
heart with
ones.
your skulls, I guess. And so, like you said, so it's 20 by 30.
Hmm.
How long does it take to get one of those pieces done?
It probably all in all took me about 3 weeks. Like if you're talking like 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
but it's when you're making a painting like that, there's a lot of processes. So there's the drawing process. Then I take it, I have to get, I, for that one, I drew it digitally just because there was a lot of perspective I had to deal with. A lot of times, look, here's the thing. I went to art school, but I'm not really a perspective buff, if you will. I'm
It's the
not,
most complicated thing to do, and it's the base you have to, right?
dude, cartoonists, people who are doing comic books, people that are drawing in difficult perspectives, frame by frame all the time, have my utmost respect because it took me so long to figure out. My friend who does background animation, she does like Bob's Burgers and stuff like that. I went to her house and she showed me where the vanishing point was. She's like, "Oh, there's two different vanishing points for the upper scene and the lower scene." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank God." Because I could not figure out what this was supposed to look like. So we figured out the vanishing point. She gave me like a little tutorial and like how to work through that, all of those things. Then I drew it as best I could. Then I even sent it. One of my other friends is very skilled at figures. Their name is Kit. Oh my God, I'm missing their last name right now.
Kit the car from Knight Rider, which is
Yes,
really nice.
they're a car.
Yeah.
That's why they're so good at drawing people because they're paying attention to them all the time.
Mhm.
But I sent it to Kit and I was like, look, this pose, for whatever reason, in this perspective, I just cannot nail it. I'm great at drawing animals, people struggle. And so they kind of fixed my frame and kind of adjusted it. And so it was kind of, I think that's what's interesting about doing art that you're bad at is that it's okay to phone a friend and people always think they have to like muddle through a project themselves, but you can absolutely ask for help if you're struggling with something. So I phoned some friends and they helped me with this. So it took like this whole process. I wound up drawing some of it by hand, then scanning it in.
Yeah.
Then I got it all printed at a printer who does, I get it scanned by the people that do architectural printing.
Okay.
So it cost me like $3 to print. Whereas if you go to Staples, it's going to be like 20 bucks.
Yeah.
So they print it off for me in black and white. It's great. I transfer it to my panel. Then I do the background, wait for it to
Did,
dry.
did you transfer it by projecting, or how do you transfer it?
Oh, I use carbon paper.
Oh, okay.
So I tape the drawing. I have it all laid out and I use carbon paper to transfer the drawing. Then I do my underpainting. Then I do the clouds. Then I do the rainbows. So then now you're waiting for stuff to dry. Once you get into oil paint, you do a layer. You wait like 2 days. Then you do another layer. Then you wait a couple days because there's nothing worse than painting something. You're on a deadline. You're like, oh, I think I could finish it. And then you get your hand in the and now you're so mad.
Now you're fucked. Yeah.
Now you're so angry. So I usually like give myself way more time than I need. And I'll like paint in spurts. I'll like paint on it a day, wait a couple days for it to dry. So I have multiple projects going on at once and I kind of shuffle them all.
It was like, what was it, Monet, when you would do the five five canvases at the same time, and as soon as the light shifted, he would like go to the other one and let it dry, and then like
I
so
didn't know
he's
that.
cycling. So like it's the same painting, or it's the same
Right.
image but in different light.
Different times of day
Yeah.
when he did the haystacks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that's like a pretty efficient way to do it. You're like, well, if I'm doing this, kind of a thing, and natural light is all I have, like I guess I'll do this.
I think that's something we don't talk about enough is when you take art from something fun that I do to something that's my job, you have to get really efficient at it because at the end of the day, you're creating a product. So the faster you can do that, the more money you have. It's tricky. And especially like when you make a painting for a gallery, like you take it to the gallery and you're like, hope I sell that. and then the gallery takes 50%. So whatever the market price is, you only get half of that. And so those are all things you have to kind of think about, is you have to like, well, I'm going to do this
Yeah.
because it's fun and I love it and it's prestige. Like when I show at a gallery, it's prestige, but I don't get paid super well. But then when I do my stained glass work, I get a lot of money, but I don't necessarily love drawing Jesus all day. So it's like,
Why not?
no,
You should make him
I'm not,
extra sexy. Like every time you should just up the sexiness just a tiny bit.
Jeff, you would not even understand how many priests have a bizarre homoerotic love for the sexiness of Christ. Priests have asked me to make his beard more fine. Priests have asked me to make his abs more pronounced. Priests have opinions on the body of Christ, and it is
And putting that body of Christ in my mouth.
uncomfortable. And they do, and it's a sacrament. It's called the Eucharist. Okay, Jeff?
Oh, do they? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it can be difficult to navigate because sometimes you're like, "Oh, I can't just call a priest gay." Like,
Yeah. You're like, oh, you're like asexual by career,
right.
but also we know.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes it's weird.
when I was a teacher, I used to teach about the five major religions. It was part of my curriculum, because it was the Middle Ages and like surprise, the Catholic Church had a lot of power in the Middle
What?
Ages. I know. And so like it's funny because it was an all white, relatively like half Catholic, half Protestant town in Massachusetts. And so when it was like we were teaching about Islam, it was very easy to be like, they believe this, they believe that. And then when I get to the Catholic faith, and then I'd be like, they believe this, they believe that. And then they would be like, you mean we believe? And I'm like, that's not what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of those things where like, you're teaching about the sacraments and you're like, and this is what Catholics believe. And then you'll get Protestant kids being like, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And then Catholics will be like, no, it's not. And then you'd start like these light little Irish English conflicts of beliefs. And I'm like, guys, this room doesn't care what you believe. That's not what this is about. So
Right.
you need to stop. I do
Yeah.
not care. I'm not trying to influence your religion. I've never cared. I couldn't care about anything less than your faith. I just want you to know what this group of people believes. That's the point.
I think it's difficult because I was raised Catholic,
Hmm.
but there was always a part of me, turns out, pretty gay. So when when you raise Catholic and they're like, that's a sin, and then you're like, I don't know, girls are pretty hot too. I don't know. It became this thing where I was like, well, every time I'm in church, they're like, well, this is the only religion, and if they don't believe this, they're gonna go to hell. And I'm like, that just seems dumb. So I was like, well,
Wait,
I'll
where'd you
just
grow up?
Midwest, like Rockford, Illinois,
Okay.
South Beloit.
Oh, the Rockford Files. Yeah.
Yes, the Rockford Files.
I
But
grew up in
there's
James Garner's The Rockford Files.
yes. But there's sort of this thing of like, wait a minute. If I tell someone, my Hindu friend, about Jesus and they don't believe it, they go to hell. Why would I ever tell them? Because why would they switch their beliefs all of a sudden? Because that's not what they were raised like. That makes no sense. So then I was like, I just went to all of the different religions. Like I went to as many different masses as I could. I went to a Hindu temple. I went to a Buddhist temple. I went to everywhere. I was like, I just want to see what they're talking about. And I'm like, huh, turns out they all say that that's the only religion, and that's kind of dumb. It's not for
Yeah.
me.
Depending on where you go. What's interesting is my hometown had a surprisingly open interfaith community where they would actually do like trades sometimes. Like we would have like the sermon like once a year, the guy at the Charlton Federated Church, the pastor, the reverend there would come and do a sermon in the Catholic Church, and
Oh,
then the Catholic priest would come and do one at the Federated Church. And I always
that's
thought that
actually
was really
cool.
interesting. Apparently, that's weirdly progressive. I didn't realize that. I remember I had one kid who was born again who was crying because I was explaining that the Roman Catholic faith was, one of the earliest forms of, Christianity. And he was like, but Catholics aren't Christian. And I'm like, anybody is Christian if they believe that Jesus Christ is the Savior. That's what that definition is, not anything past that. And he was like, apparently his church had taught him basically that if they're not of their faith, then they are not Christian. And he was like having a breakdown in my class. And I was like, buddy, we need to pull back. If you need to collect yourself, we can talk about this afterwards. But like,
Yeah.
this is philosophy that you're getting into, and we're doing history right here. So even if you don't believe what I'm saying, then just try to remember the facts that you don't agree with, because
Yep.
that's all I'm trying to do here. And then I had to literally, after that, and I had to call his mom, be like, hey, it's gonna get weird. And she was like, yeah, we moved to a new church, and I don't think the youth pastor is particularly, I think she kind of like recalibrated where she was going, because apparently she was like, I feel like maybe there's even more indoctrination than even I thought.
Yeah. It
Surprisingly aware.
look, I really started questioning it when I was in college because, of course, I'm away from my parents. I've made friends who are gay. I've made friends who are of different races than me. Like when you grow up in the Midwest and everyone around you is white, you're just kind of like, yeah, this is fine. Although I guess I had a friend who was Muslim in high school. She was really nice. I liked her, but
Oh, too
it
bad
never
she's going to
felt
hell.
right. But yeah, I think that's what started is I was like, well, Fazan is awesome and Ahmed is cool and Avni's awesome. Like, why would they go to hell? Like, they seem really neat. And then my first boyfriend was Indian. He grew up Hindu. He didn't really believe in religion. And I was like, turns out sex is pretty great. So yeah, I'm not sure about any of this anymore.
I ended up doing a switch. I was like pretty faithful. And then my like first real girlfriend, like the first one that was like of substance, one of those ones where you're like, oh, I'm going to marry this girl.
Yeah.
Um, she broke up with me and I was like so sure. And so I was like, that started making me realize that like maybe the things I'm sure of are not exactly right.
Oh,
And I'd also had studied a lot of theology in school. It was like one of my focuses in history. I
yeah.
studied Indian. So I'd been aware of those things and just had been like talking about understanding faith and like, open about it, but like still believing in God. And then when that happened, I was like, I'm going to start reevaluating. And I kind of moved more towards an atheist perspective because of that, because it really just made me have to be like, I need to be smarter about the things that I'm absolutely sure of, because I don't necessarily think that that means what I think I am. I am 22 years old. Like,
Yeah.
I'm too dumb to be that sure. And then sure enough, like she ended up, because she was kind of an atheist, her mother got like pancreatic cancer or something,
Oh God.
healed. And
Oh.
they gave their lives to God. And I'm
Whoa.
just, and like the whole family, like she's got a husband now. They're like super mega Christian homesteaders in Maryland. They're like off the grid.
It's so interesting to me when someone makes the opposite switch
Right?
because you're like, what? So I was like kind of questioning. Like, I had grown up very religious, like believed in Jesus, like didn't date boys in high school because they weren't Catholic, like that level. And then got to college, was like, this Hindu be slapping. What else do I not know about the world? Went to like a friend on my floor was like, well, we have this religious thing. Do you want to come to it? We're going to talk about why atheism isn't right. So they brought up all these atheist arguments that I had never heard. And they'd be like, and that's wrong because of this scripture. I'm like, actually, they're making really good
Yeah.
points.
And also your scripture is just somebody writing down nuh-uh.
Yeah, some dude just wrote a book and you're like, well, I believe that. And you're like, what? But they're people, like just people wrote a book and you're just like, that forever. Like, it's
Yeah.
like if George R. R. Martin wrote Lord of the Rings and then everyone was like, that's my religion. Like, that's what happened. Aragorn is Christ.
Wait. Who wrote Lord of the Rings?
Oh my God.
Wrong RR, pal. It's Jorge R.R. Tolkien, actually.
I it up.
Wow.
I mixed up my
I had to
one is
correct that because
pornographic and one is PG.
the comments would have exploded.
Thank you so much for pointing that out. Dude, I do that wrong. I do stuff like that all the time with names.
Doesn't matter.
So bad about it. But yeah, it's like, and it kind of is when I work with religious clients, they are like geeks, like super nerds about the Bible. They're like, actually, in this time, Christ said this. And so he would actually be wearing a blue cloak instead of a red. Like, it's just very like,
Yeah.
like you know how when someone is like way too into a fandom and they're like picking apart the minutia and you're like, I don't think that
Do
any of
I?
that matters.
That has been my job. That has been currently, I mean, I guess with Batman, that is literally my job, but working in fandom has had some disastrous I've seen a lot of like I have to be members of certain groups book and stuff, and you'll see people complaining. They're like, what do you mean He-Man doesn't, Man at Arms isn't black in He-Man? Why would they put him in it? And it's like, because it's a movie with actors, you dip. I'm like, why can't they be just like this thing? It's like, you are 40. You are a
This is
40-year-old man.
imaginary,
Yes,
sir.
these are, I always say the most usable GIF that exists on the internet should be Ben Affleck from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back being like, these are fictional characters. Like you are getting ramped up on things that aren't real.
Yeah, it really takes it to a whole new level when you realize like wars are being fought, rights are being
Yes.
stripped over most likely fictional or semi-historical
No.
characters.
I'm
Like,
yeah. I'm sorry that a side character in the He-Man movie is played by Idris Elba, one of the best actors of our
and
generation.
hottest,
Yep.
right?
Yes. And
Woo.
they're like, but he's not black. Man at Arms isn't black. I'm like, Man at Arms isn't anything. He's a drawing. He's he's not real. He's
See,
lines. He's lines and paint.
this is why I never even got into like romance rom-coms until we started getting Bridgerton because as someone who's like not super into white guys, it was just very like it's all just like a pasty white dude. Like it's just not for me. It's just not
Hey,
my jam.
hey,
Sorry.
what the man?
No offense, Jeffrey.
Look, I know that they put us in a lot of stuff, but like let's not throw stones at the pasty white man. We have feelings too.
Look,
And we
the
will let you know of those feelings at all times on the internet, no matter what the feeling is about or how silly it is.
my vagina has a strict DEI policy.
Wow.
So
Wow. Racist.
unfortunate. I know. I know. I'm
Yeah.
what Trump's trying to abolish.
I had a fellow comedian who is I think she says Latina, but maybe we'll just say Latinx.
Latinx.
Latinx that was giving me a hard time about how I only date white girls. And I'm just like, well, it's not like I'm actively doing that. I just feel like this face kind of represents some pretty bad stuff to women of color. And there's nothing I could do about that. I don't get to control how much of a cop I look like.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's a one of my favorite Neil Brennan jokes is when he talks about white people got snitched in their DNA. Sometimes my boyfriend will do things and I'm like, well, actually the rules, and he's like, no, we're not doing
Don't
that.
worry about
Like
the
we're
rules. Yeah.
not.
I mean, I've really, especially in my like the second half, like my new life, like since I came out here, I very much have been having a lot of fun breaking the rules
Me too.
and just doing things weirdly and like just I mean, because the other part too is like coming up as a boxer in my 20s a lot. Like you can't really be racist.
No.
Like in New England, if you're a boxer, it's like yeah, there's a couple white guys, but like if you want to be competitive, it's Puerto Ricans and black guys. Like those you can't. So
I
like you
would
have to be friends with those people.
I would argue the same is very much true of stand up because if you can't crush it in a black room, if you don't have black comedian friends, like you're really not that funny.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a very specific target. All right, man. Well, good luck pulling that in. But that being said, I am also a niche creator.
Yeah,
I have
As am I.
I think paid Patreon subscribers, it's like, 212 or something like that. It's very niche, but in stand-up comedy, that niche sort of broadens out a lot more
Yeah.
because I have to understand that there's a lot of different people. Hey, speaking of Patreons, you have one, which is cool, and we're going to talk about that, but also I have one. I
Ooh.
know some people are listening to this for free wherever you get your podcasts, right? But
Wow. Way
other
to cop
people,
out.
I know, but other people are listening at patreon.com/Jeff May, which means they got the episode a week early. They got it uncensored. They got it with bonus content. And some people are producers of this show, meaning that they actually give me a little bit of money and then I say their name on here and thank them. And when I say their name, you're going to find out for the most part, it's not their name. It's not really going to be their name a lot of the time, as we're going to find out. And we're going to give a big shout out to those people. And I'm very excited to say a big shout out to check out this month's Nerd with Dre and Jeff, where we are covering Marvel versus DC from 1995. And yeah, we have the amazing Michael Vincent Bramley joining us on that episode. And it is a banger. And I say this because we have already recorded it and it's great. Do you ever read comics? Are you a comics person at all?
I loved Arkham Asylum.
Oh, the Dave McKean and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
I love Bill Sienkiewicz's illustrations specifically. He's
Oh, that
insane.
cover, that
Oh my
wild. Yeah.
God.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah. I love like I think I specifically love mostly graphic novels and an illustrating style. Like I got really into manga when I was younger,
Yeah.
but I really love like when it's a graphic novel, it's full color. Each illustration is done in color. I just love
Graphic
that.
novel. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. You're not wrong. So when you say graphic novel, you mean like a trade paperback of a collected comics or something that was originally published to be in that graphic novel format?
I mean something that's a standalone story.
Okay.
So
Yes.
it's
Something that was
yeah,
published as its own thing, not as
yeah.
6 comic book issues bound.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I do
Perfect.
also though, I love the Elektra series that Psychovich
You like Bill
illus
Sienkiewicz. Yeah.
I
I
love
can see that.
him.
Yeah.
There's something very and especially I can't remember the name of the writer, but who wrote that Elektra series that he illustrated, but
Wasn't
the
it Frank Miller?
story I think it is Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the story is just so good.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's a brutal story. There are some violent things in that. It's a
It's
beautiful. Yeah.
it's dark and it's beautiful, but I love the way that the illustration style changes with the different moods. Like there are sort of almost different voices in the illustration style. And so I think I'm so spoiled by that sometimes I have a difficult time connecting to comics that are a little bit more straightforward
Yeah. More classic
because
Silver Age artwork. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there is incredible work happening at all times.
Oh my
That is
god.
I'll send you, there is Ryan Otley did an Invincible piece they sold it as a poster. And I actually had
Okay.
that poster up on my classroom wall. I really liked it, which Invincible now has really blown up because of the cartoon's popularity on Amazon. He shared the perspective drawing he did
Oh my
of
god.
that. And he's like, it took him like 3 days just to do the perspective because it's like him flying over an entire cityscape. But he's like, it's so high that you can start to see the curve of the earth
Oh my
in it. And
god.
it's like when you see just the grid of perspective, it looks like the most complicated thing that's ever existed.
My utmost respect.
Yeah. When you were talking about the perspective. Anyway, DC
Yeah.
versus Marvel, we're covering that. So yeah, a big shout out to blacktulipmassage.com. If you are in Central Mass, head on over and get a massage from Julie. She is a lifesaver and also one of my best friends that I've known for most of my life.
Aw.
So that's great. She's the best. Her and her husband's like a huge James Bond fan too. They're like I love them as a couple. They're like two of my favorite people.
Just adorbs.
I absolutely love them. A big shout out to Dan Hackroyd. A big shout out to watch me use these prehensile nipples to pick up pennies off the floor.
Oh my god.
That nipple talk is not done. Don't worry about that. A big shout out to Norm from Cheers. A big shout out to the Oatmeal Savage. You like oatmeal?
Hmm.
You're an oatmeal person?
Sometimes
Yeah, the
in the
texture
right
turns a lot
mood.
of people off.
If there's enough maple syrup on it, I'll give anything a go. You know what I'm
Okay, so
saying?
that you like the mapo kind of stuff. Yeah. I like cream of wheat. It's a very
No.
unpopular opinion. I know. Straight to jail right away. Right away. Cream of wheat. No lie. Straight
Straight
to
to
jail.
jail.
I do like oatmeal. It's really gotten me great. Shout out to Bobby Opulent would like to offer Jeff a nice brioche bun in this trying time.
Mhm.
That's a reference to the fact that brioche buns are trash.
Okay.
It is
Cool, cool, cool.
a greasy, poorly held together form of bread that is meant to be eaten on its own, and yet somehow we decided to put the greasiest meat you can put on it so it can just dissolve immediately.
I was not expecting such strong opinions on bread on this podcast, but I'm I'm happy about it.
A
You know what I
brioche
mean?
bun does not have the density that can handle the grease of a hamburger. I'm sorry. Cancel
Can
me if you must.
can you send this to my ex-boyfriend who once screamed at me for not getting brioche buns at the supermarket when it was not an option?
He screamed at you for that?
He yelled at me so loud. It was insane. I was like,
Is
this
he
is
local?
insane
Give me
behavior.
his address. Give me his address. I'll have a talk with him about yelling at somebody and trying to make them feel small for not
Yeah.
to get something they didn't get,
Look,
especially over something that sucks, but not even especially that, just in general.
we broke up for a reason and it's
Yeah. Yeah. The
okay.
reason is he sounds like a dip.
He was.
Anyway, a big shout out to call me Sean or whatever. Okay, whatever.
Oh,
A
that's in the
big,
name.
yeah, yeah. He said, call me Sean or whatever. And I did or whatever. How about a shout out to Porcelain Jesus as opposed to stained glass Jesus?
I've known many a porcelain Jesus.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I prayed to a few, if you know what I mean. I got drunk in public once. A big shout out to David Knife Boot Hinson.
Ooh.
I know, right?
If
That's
the
a cool name.
apocalypse comes, I'm asking for him.
David Knife Boot Hinson. Let Andrea know.
Yeah,
Uh,
that sounds like someone that could help me out of a bind,
with something hidden in his bind.
right?
Oh.
Hey.
How about Lemming Malloy? How about the To Be Terror Bunny thinks you should watch the Puss in Boots sequel? It's surprisingly good. I've heard this, and I've actually heard it has, if you like Sienkiewicz, I
Oh,
think because like they like really play with art styles in that episode, in that movie, and apparently it's really great.
okay.
Like I have also heard the same thing. So thank you, To Be Terror Bunny, for that. A big shout out to Mr. Billy Beck. Burrito, my best friend. How about a big shout out to Aldo Vargas is adding Jeff Has Cool Friends producer to his resume. Folks, do it.
Oh, yeah.
I will lie my ass off for you
That's how I got my apartment.
by adding Jeff Has Cool Friends producer onto it.
Well, my boyfriend had his friend pose as his landlord and
Yeah.
talked about, as you have to do in the LA game.
Dudes rock.
Yeah.
I just went on Nextdoor and was like, hey, I need a place.
Let
Here's
me
what I
live
bring to
here.
the table. Anybody need a big dude? I'm a
Yeah.
big dude. And then somebody was like, I do need a big dude.
Helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I got brought in as like roommate slash guard dog.
Oh, are you in a home full of women?
I'm in a 50% woman man. My roommate owns the house that I live in.
Okay.
And she leaves for work and I work while she's gone. And it's great. It's like living with my big sister. It's awesome.
Aw.
Like we have a really, really great, it's obviously
I love that.
you have your occasional conflicts whenever you live with another person. That's always a normal thing. But like
Yeah.
we got a really great thing going on. And I really love that. And it really, yeah, next door of all things.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
actually incredible.
Yeah, it's wild. I was just I'm like I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I'm not gross, like I work
I'm
from home.
Yeah, I'm a dude who will wash things.
I wash dishes. I'm good at dishes.
Also, boxing experience.
Yeah, and I'm also like, if
intruders.
you need somebody who's a fighter, I'm a fighter. A big shout out to that scene in Lost City where Brad Pitt dies. A
Oh.
huge shout out to Sweet Keel. All of my love to, I'm going to start calling Yoda Old Grogu just to see what happens. A shout out to Funky J Mousley comes out at night. Mostly. And finally, a big shout out to the enchanted, wandering, unpierced left nipple that only goes up to 11. Cider served at room temperature with just a pinch of cinnamon. Another nipple reference.
So much nipple talk. I
There are
had no
as
idea.
many nipples in my producer names as there are on my body. 17.
I had no idea there were so many nipple fans in the Jeff universe.
Didn't you, though?
Okay, now that I say it out loud, you're correct and I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Folks, Andrea at patreon.com/Andrea Guzzetta. That's AndreaGuzzetta. If you're listening on my Patreon, you can join for free. There are also great membership options, which I absolutely got very excited to take a look at. Because like when I was checking it out, I was like, you have your supporter and your cheerleader ones, your basic tiers, right? Which
Right.
are, hey, thank you so much. I'm going to shout you out on my Instagram posts.
Yeah.
And you have a good following. You're in
I
the,
do. I will
the
say
five
it,
figures.
yeah, Instagram is dying slowly in the way that Facebook before has gone, thanks to Jeff Zucker. Damn it. I don't remember anyone's name. Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, or me.
They're the same
Eric,
person in my mind. They're just like a pasty white guy that's using
you
money
really got our
to
numbers, man. You really got something about the pasty white man, which I get. We've done some
Oh
so
my God. I had such a problem. So after the pandemic, when, my ex would go do stand up, I quit doing stand up. I would meet other dudes that they would have their face masks on and they'd be like, "Oh, like whatever, Andrea, like, oh, so good to see you, whatever." And then I'd be like, "I don't know who that was." And my ex would be like, "Oh yeah, it's Jerry." And I was like, I don't know. I don't remember. I can't
yeah.
recognize his face because, like, once you have the face mask on and you're just a white dude, like, I was like, oh no, I
Yeah.
can't tell anyone apart.
I'm lucky that I'm easily pick out of a crowdable.
You also have a distinctive voice, which I think makes.
It's too loud.
I've also been told that about myself in restaurants, but yes.
I don't mean to be. I wish I wasn't.
But what I was saying is that Instagram is engagement is tricky. So, like, I have like 28,000 followers on there, but it's like, whatever,
You have 28.5. So
Oh,
for
thank
rounding,
you.
we're more like 29.
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
I looked at it as soon as I said you have, and then I was like, why don't I just look? And I checked that out.
It's pretty good. It's
Yeah,
okay.
it's great. It's great. I have 400 and change right now because my account was nuked. Anyway,
Fact.
less than 10% of what I had before.
How much,
Cool.
what I'm curious about is how much has that affected your business or your ability to sell yourself or get bookings or anything like that?
I'm not seeking bookings.
Okay.
I run my show, Mint on Card, second Friday of every month, Blast from the Past in beautiful Magnolia in Burbank, California. I run my show and I run one of the best shows in Los Angeles. I'm not going to stop doing that.
Yeah.
But I've certainly pulled back from stand-up comedy for a couple of reasons. The toxicity of the industry is really bad.
Don't I know it?
Desperation of what bookers want. They want followers, not talent. I have built my show based entirely on if I think you are talented, I'm putting you on the show and I don't give a shit about your following. I'll worry about getting people in the seats. You be funny so they come back.
Wait, you're a producer who's actually producing?
Dude, I'm telling you.
Stunning.
So, like, here's the thing is, first off, my co-producer, Lisa Harden, is incredible. And when we decided to do the show, did you ever go to Yellowhammered?
Oh, I don't think
It was the
so.
Alabama themed show that was put on by like Rivers Langley. God, I forget Joe. Now that my Instagram is gone, I can't even remember half the people's names, but it was like all these three Alabama comics, so fucking funny. And it was like a house party in a
Fun.
driveway where they did a cookout. And it was like all the ingredients were weird as shit, and it made for a great show. And so I took that and said, how can I do that, but not steal their idea? Right. And I was like,
Yeah.
look,
Your own twist.
there was a toy store where they were huge comedy fans, and I would go there all the time because toys were my world. Right. Which is sad. And so they moved into a new big place. And so Lisa and I were talking about starting a show, and she's like, why don't you ask them. And so I went up and I was like, it's a great point. I asked if they would to do like an underground comedy show there, and they were like so into it.
Aw.
And so we were like, the rules were, we were like, we want, as we're building the show, what we want is to treat the comedians so well that they tell everybody else how well we treat them. So like we have a green room with like snacks available. We try to get a food truck outside. We do donations so it's a free show, but comedians get paid for a 10-minute set no matter what. We do giveaways for the crowd, stuff like that. And like the last show was on Valentine's Day. I think we ended up paying comics from donations exclusively for 10-minute sets like $75.
Yeah.
Which in LA that
That's
isn't
amazing.
happening. So that felt, and sorry if, I don't like talking about money on people's thing, but like to do that all from an organic, we send one email a month. I make one post about it, says, hey, the show is Friday, come check it out. Like it really does. It's about a quality show brings people in more than desperately booking a headliner in LA, which nobody cares about.
I'm going to say, I think we don't talk money enough in the art world.
I'll
I
say
think
that I'll,
we don't
yeah, I guess
publicly.
when I say that, I'm more concerned about like other comedians might not want other people to know what they made for a show for
Oh,
reason.
yeah,
Like,
that's valid.
but yeah, because like, and if I said I pay every comedian $75, I would just do that. But
Right.
it's based off of
It's
donation.
donations
And I
for
take,
sure.
and me and Lisa take the same cut the comedians take. So we
Yeah. So you
all
just
get an
split it.
equal cut. Yeah. So
That's
it's
great.
divided in 8 ways.
Yeah. I think it can be really difficult. Obviously, like I did stand up briefly, found weirdly that fine art was much more lucrative for me. So
Yeah. Comedy's
somehow
not lucrative.
it's so not lucrative. There's so much like expense because you have to drive to a place. Like I get to make art out of my house. I get to hang out with my dog all day who has severe separation anxiety. Oh my
I
God.
wonder why. You're
Yeah,
like, I
because
think
I'm
it's
home
because I
all day.
have to hang out with my dog all day.
Yeah, she literally has been cranky with me all morning because I left to go to yoga this morning. She's like, "You were gone for like an hour." And then I came to record another podcast and she was like jumping on me. She was just very
Ooh,
upset.
what was that
But
podcast?
oh, I have another podcast called Hey, What Are You Working On? And it's me and two other artist friends. And we talk about like the business aspect of art.
Oh, check that out. Hey, what are you working on? Check that out wherever podcasts are found.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
wherever you want. It's really fun. And we do talk about stuff like pricing, how to get into galleries, like all of the nitty-gritty of being an
Oh,
artist because I feel like when I went to art school and then I graduated and then it was like how how do I have money? How do I get money, guys? I you
man,
taught me nothing.
you're gonna hate me because I graduated from college with my teaching stuff and got
Yeah,
my job before I even marched.
before
Before
you
I
marched?
even like I graduated in December and I was supposed to march in May, and I like
Oh,
had a full-time teaching job before I even marched for my graduation.
I actually similarly my last day of classes was a Wednesday. And on Thursday, I started painting a mural at a YMCA. And I did that for like 3 months. It was an indoor water park. So I was painting like 16-hour days or 12-hour days. And
Jesus
just,
Christ, how was your neck and shoulders after that?
I was young
Yeah,
and quite
22,
strong.
right?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
22. So like my body was like pretty good. And I also had done a lot of like yoga, strength training. Like I was very active. I ran cross country. So my body was pretty good at the time. Now, not so much. But at the
Don't
time,
shame my friend.
it was turns out if something happened to me as soon as I turned 30, my body's like, no more staying out late, no more drinking. You can't do it. You can't handle it.
We're done.
We're done. We're sick of it. I be it literally was like almost my 30th birthday. Like the next day, I was like, oh, I can't stay up till 4 in the morning anymore. Like I
No, no, no,
can't
no.
do
That's not
this.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I started working and I had a lot of like odd jobs in Milwaukee before I settled into the stained glass job. That was like a full-time job. But I was like working for a mural company. I did scenic sculpture, scenic painting, I painted houses. I
Like you painted
basically did
houses, like you just painted houses.
just paint a house, roll it,
I had that
edge
job
it.
too. I
Yeah,
had
it's a
that job
great
in
job.
college. That's a terrifying job sometimes.
Not, I was mostly painting residential indoors.
Um, I painted
So,
a church one time,
whoa.
and I was on the top of a 40-foot ladder, and that ladder was on marble steps. And I was looked down. I was like, God wouldn't kill me. And then I was like, yeah, he would. God kills everyone. So
Yeah.
then I quit. That day I quit. I was like, I'm
Smart.
not doing this. I'm not going to do this to get paint chips off of a church in Clinton, Massachusetts. You.
Weirdly, so when I started working for the stained glass studio in Milwaukee, there was a period of time. So the studio I work for, I was originally hired to do scenic painting for churches.
Mhm.
And there are two different departments. There was a painting department and a glass department. I annoyed the head of the glass department or the head of the painting department so much. Turns out ADHD, but I would interrupt him all the time. I would ask a bunch of questions. I like wouldn't let him finish a sentence. I was like just too excited to be there. And I could tell that I was really annoying him and I could not figure out how to stop. And so eventually he was like, I think the glass department needs some help. And I wound up really enjoying that work and I got along really well with the head of the department. But there was a period of time where we had no glasswork to do. All the glasswork was finished. And they're like, oh, I don't know. We want to like keep you guys working, but we're like not sure what to do. I wound up fiberglassing a wall, which don't recommend. Then they sent me to a church like 4 hours away. And I was on similarly like 4 levels of scaffolding, gold leafing an altar in a church, hanging off the edge of the scaffolding to reach the altar. And it was just like, I'm an indoor cat. Like, this is
Yeah.
not, I shouldn't be here. And then one of the other guys, because they're all like road guys, like unionized painters, is who I was working with.
Mhm.
One of the guys was so deeply misogynistic that he was making jokes about lesbians all the time. He's making jokes about women all the time. And it finally, like, I was getting so frustrated with him. It came to a head and he like screamed at me one day. And I was just like, I'm not taking this. Like, I'm not dealing with you. And luckily the foreman like was like, hey bro, like you can't yell at a 24-year-old girl. Like you can't do
Yeah.
that.
I was lucky in that the last year that I was a painter over the summer, I had been boxing and I was in
Oh,
that shape. And there were like some pretty scummy guys and they would say some scummy things. And I'd be like, hey, I'm going to beat you to death. And like, that was when you could say that, it was like
yeah.
2001 or something like that. Or, I'm like, you don't understand. No, no, no,
Before the
no, no, no. Yeah.
snowflake media.
It was like they were really like, being like really huge pieces of shit, like really
Yeah.
racist. And I'm just like, hey, real quick, if I punched you, you would die.
Heads up.
You understand that, right? And they'd be like, what? I'm like, no, 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 no. This is not, there's no debate here. I will punch through you.
So
Calmly,
fucking cut
calmly
it out.
describing how you would casually accidentally murder somebody is a really great way to get them to recalibrate their thoughts.
I'm so jealous. I don't
Privilege I
scare
get. Yeah.
anyone except my boyfriend. He's like terrified, but no one, I don't scare I don't think anyone's ever looked at me and been afraid. Like,
I mean, you don't know that.
maybe.
Well, I'm terrified of women. Like, I'm
Oh,
more scared. Like, I'm terrified of women. Like, it's a very weird and strange thing to be when you are that, but it's just like, because there's a power, and that's obviously circumstantial for me, right? Like, there's a power that women have over me in that if I care deeply about somebody, they have the power to literally destroy me. And so
mm,
that is a terrifying thing. And like, and there's other aspects to it. There's like layers to that of like, I am afraid to ruin a relationship I have with somebody by, if I make this move,
yeah.
do I now no longer have a friend because I
Hmm.
misinterpreted these cues? And it's like, but that's also me scaring myself. But yeah, women are
Is
terrifying.
is vulnerability the most terrifying part of being a man? Is like being vulnerable the most terrifying part of that relationship?
I would say it depends on the man. I think
Okay.
vulnerability is part of that. I think part of it is fear.
Yeah.
And just the general fear. And I think a lot of it has to do with like how we grew up. Like I grew up very heavy, very unpopular, very sort of derided and very bullyable. And so that doesn't go away.
Yeah, it's deep in your
So
spirit.
like every interaction I've had with a woman, even if there's romantic interest, is like there's no way she'd be interested in me because of that, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
that's how it always was, which is fine, but like that fear comes in. Anyway, you have a Patreon.
Oh yeah,
Let's just
sorry.
move. And so you have like a $3 supporter tier, which is like you can check the stuff out. You have an IG shout out. You have a cheerleader one, which gets you both that shout out, but that shout out. You also get to be on the very desirable close friends Instagram thing, which I think is like a really cool.
It's fun. I don't do it as often as I should, let's be honest, but I will show more behind the scenes. My stories are kind of for behind the scenes. For a while I was trying to do like tips and tricks, but then I'm like, "Oh, my whole process is actually the same all the time." Like
Yeah.
I use the same stuff. So I was like, I don't know if that's very very valuable, but seeing what I'm working on, what, sometimes I'll show like hangs with friends or whatever, like stuff coming up. And then the $10 tier or $15 if you're an international. $10 for local for United States, 15 is for international, but that's the sticker club.
So that was the one that it seems to be like the one that
That's the good
it's
one.
highlighted as your most popular one.
Yeah,
You get all
easily.
those, but then you get to vote for stickers, and then every other month you get two stickers a month, and the packages come every other month.
So you get 3 stickers a month because I made a pact with my patrons and I was like, "Hey, if we move from doing monthly rewards to bi-monthly rewards, I will send you 2 bonus stickers. So you'll get 6 stickers every other month instead of 2 stickers every month." And they all voted yes for that.
36 instead of 24 a year.
A year. Yes.
Nice.
Exactly.
That's a free
Because
dozen stickers a year.
it's pretty sweet. The reason I did a couple things. First of all, it's easier to order stickers in bulk. The more you order, the less per sticker they cost.
Yes.
So
Who
if
do you
I'm
use?
doing, huh?
Who do you use?
I use Sticker Blitz because they are not fascists.
I had to leave Sticker Mule, which is why people have not gotten a lot of stickers from me lately.
Sticker Blitz is competitive with Sticker Mule. I would say they're maybe 5% more expensive, but the quality is the same. I would
Okay.
say their customer service is better. So here's my
And they're not a guy
advertisement.
that's gonna spam you about how great Trump is.
They're not trying to suck Trump's dick
I'm
on the
so
reg.
pissed. Their deals on poly mailers were so good.
I know.
That's the one thing that I've been trying to readjust to is trying to find a non-sticker mule poly mailer process.
I One of my friends turned me on to another non-fascist place called Paper Mart that does a lot of box mailers, any
Okay.
different types of like
Paper.
supplies you need for packing and shipping.
Hey, I have a question for you. Do
Yes.
you have like leftover stickers that you sell?
Sometimes, yeah,
Awesome.
I've started doing that. I've started because I always order too many. And part of the thing
Good.
is like from the Patreon, I try to make it exclusive. Like I don't want to say like I'm gonna sell these later because then why would you join the Patreon? But I think what I'm going to start doing this year is I'm going to offer like surprise packs of 5 stickers of old Patreon stickers.
So I do a package thing on my Patreon.
Oh, okay.
I open trading cards on camera. You're a Pokemon fan, right?
I am.
I'm gonna have to find a Pokemon box and I'll have to have you over my place and we'll open some cards on an episode I Must Break You. I know. We'll figure that out.
I love Pokemon.
I do you know that I have a Thunderstorm gift box from like 1999 sealed?
What's that?
It is
Is it
about
the one with
$1,000.
Zapdos?
Did it? I don't know. It's a sealed gift box. If you look up Thunderstorm gift box, Pokemon Thunderstorm gift box, it's one of those. It's got some booster packs in it. It's got like dice bags or I don't even know. What I was going to say is I like to put stuff in those packages that are not just the cards. I would like to
Oh,
talk to
that's
you
fun.
off of the show, off mic, if I can grab some for those. You get the rookie card tier patrons and put them
Hell
in. So,
yeah.
all right. All right. We'll
I
work on
have
something
some
there.
Pokemon stickers specifically.
I mean, patreon.com/Jeff May, sign up for the rookie card tiers. You have Sticker Club, which is so cool, right?
Super fun. Yeah.
Um,
So they get to vote on whatever animal they want. This month, we're going to do the anglerfish that found the
oh,
light.
the dying girl.
Yeah. The dying girl. And then I think it was a tie. So I think I get to choose between the Hyrax and the Phoenix, but I'm probably going to do a Hyrax because they're cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a girl. Look, my Patreon is for nerds who love cute animals. It's mostly women. I think there's like maybe 5 dudes in there, mostly the girls. And then the $30 tier is whatever. So I make an original oil painting for the stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone in the $30 tier, I draw a name and I send you that oil painting. So you get an original painting and I just draw names for it.
Really?
It's pretty fun. So, and then I also do like
10%
what,
off of prints in your shop.
yeah, 10% prints
Actually,
off
those
prints in my
odds are really great because right now that collector
There's only
tier
14
has only
collectors.
18 people.
Yeah. It's
So
pretty
like
good
your odds are
odds.
better than 1 in 5.
Well, and then I also
No, your
will
odds are 1 in
do
18. I don't
like
know why the
original
podcast did that.
sketches. So like it'll be like there's 2 original oil paintings every time I draw because I'm doing months rewards every other month. So every time I draw, there's 2 original paintings up. There's usually a couple sketches. If I offer a new product, like I offered tote bags, the sample a lot of times will become a gift. So you'll be able to get an original like tote bag or a sketchbook or something
Nice.
ahead of time. If I do a misprint of a print or a print proof, a lot
Yeah.
of times that will find its way into there. The Totoro sketch, like I drew that whole drawing by hand. Someone got the original sketch.
Oh,
So it's kind of like
that's
fun.
great.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're going to get some cool original It's going to be random, so you're not going to guarantee get one every month, but the odds are pretty good.
Yeah.
So, it's
You
a
also
fun
have
tier.
a really interesting one called the Super Collector,
Yes.
which so like, and here's what I find fascinating is that you and I have like a very interesting parallel because I have a very similar tier where one is it's called We Pod Together, and it's like basically I will co-host a podcast with you every month that you do that. That's
What?
actually how the show Nerds started. Was
That's amazing.
Dre Alvarez was like, I would like to do this. I've been listening to you for 10 years. Like, let's do it. And that's how we started the show Nerd. Yours is similar in that you're basically just like, I will do, you pay me. And also like that price is a little low, in my
It's
opinion.
pretty low. Well, it's
Because it's
just a very
250.
small. It's a
It's a
very
one
small
person tier.
one person.
Yeah.
That's it. I had someone in that. Here's the thing. It was originally a 6-person tier, and then I figured out how much work it is, and I'm like, 1 person at a time.
I'm genuinely surprised that it's open right now.
Yeah, it's
Because your commissions are
basically
closed
my
on
commissions are all
your Instagram.
closed. They are. But if you wanted perhaps a small original Pokemon painting for
What size are they?
$250, they're 3-inch or sorry, they're 4-inch by 4-inch. So it's
That's
like a
not bad.
super mini.
Yeah.
So I do have some like stipulations of like it can't be you only get to pick the animal or the figure or like if it's Ponyta or whatever. That's what you get to pick.
Mhm.
And then beyond that, you don't get to pick anything. So that's the
You mean trust the
stipulation.
artist to make the art?
Yeah, you trust the artist to make the art because once you start like it has to be this color and it has to be this, then it's not fun for me and I don't want to do it. So
It's fair.
so
But
I
that's
just
great
won't do.
too. Does that person get put into the collector drawing as well?
They do not get put into the collector drawing, but they do still receive the stickers. So the
Okay.
only thing they don't get is because I'm like already giving you a guaranteed original,
Yeah.
I still want to make those odds good for the people.
Yeah, that's a stupid deal. That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's pretty fire.
Like an original 4x4 or painting
Yeah,
for, I mean, what is
250.
essentially $250 a month. Like,
It's pretty good.
that's great.
Yeah,
That's pretty
even
awesome.
with inflation. Hello.
I know. I know. This is great. This is really, really great. I love this. Here's what I'm going to do is we're going to talk off mic.
Ooh,
I'm going to get a hold of some stickers from you, like 25 stickers.
easily.
We'll come up with a price.
I have so many stickers.
Don't tell them that. These are rare. You only have the exact number I'm going to ask for.
Do you want Pokemon stickers?
We'll do whatever.
Okay,
We'll
because
figure
I
it
have
out.
animals, I have Pokemon, I have all
We
sorts of
can do a
things.
but we can also mix and match it up.
That's
For example, there are people that are on my rookie card tier, like Kelly Stanaway, who opens Pokemon cards on camera, right? I want to send her a Pokemon sticker.
have to,
Obviously, her
have
package
to.
is going to have a Pokemon sticker. Maybe there are people that are just like, I really like cats
I
or
have some
something like that.
cute,
You're
cute
like,
cat stickers.
you mean Meowth? And I'm like, no, he's not a cat. He's a Pokemon. Also, he has a soul, which is weird. He speaks English.
I think all Pokemon have souls.
No, 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 no.
What?
Well, no, but I mean, they're all going to hell because they're not baptized. But Meowth is baptized. He was bathed in the blood
In the
of
name of
Christ.
the Father and the Son and the
Team Christian
meow.
is back again. But you see there's a meme that's going around where it's just like, what's more bisexual, being bisexual or whatever the Team Rocket's up to right now?
Definitely Team Rocket.
Yeah, it's
They're
so
look
fun.
the amount of cross dressing, the gender role reversal. I love everything about it.
It's great. It's great. I'm buddies with Veronica Taylor, who is the voice of Ash. Yeah, she's great. She was actually in my New York Comic Con panel back in 2019. She was one of
That's
my guests.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. She's
That's really
awesome.
neat.
She's super, super talented. And that wasn't a union show, which is really bad considering how much it's been watched. I didn't realize that we've really been going for it. This regular episode, we've been at it for almost an hour and a half.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's not, you know what? It would be one of those things where I'm just like, we've been at this for an hour and a half. I'm just like, I didn't even realize
We were having
we were having
fun.
fun. Andrea Guzzetta, you can be found on both Patreon and Instagram at AndreaGuzzetta. Andrea
Yes.
Guzzetta or Guzzetta.
Guzzetta. Also Blue Sky or Blue Ski
Oh
if you're
yeah,
Polish.
Blueski.
Bluski. Yeah, I don't really do TikTok, but yeah,
I'm too old for TikTok, man. Whenever I
I
see somebody
know.
my age doing TikTok, I'm just like, I don't know, man. If it didn't happen on Reels, why is this the one that you think is going? I mean, I'm happy for them, but also sometimes I'm like, what are we doing here?
I think social media is just making me so tired. I'm
It's a
just like,
problem.
I am exhausted
I
being a content.
forgot to check and see if you were on Blue Sky at first, and now I did, and
It's all good.
I have followed you on Blue Sky. When I went viral on Blue Sky not too long ago, equally as obnoxious as when it would happen on Twitter.
Oh,
So
really? So
yeah,
it's the
yeah, they're still
same
there. Yeah, yeah.
vibes. Okay,
People,
good,
the
good,
main
good.
character syndrome is still alive and well on Blue Sky.
We love to hear it. Is there less racism on Blue Sky? I haven't really gone viral yet or anything.
I did one where it was just I parked next to a Tesla, but it had like a sticker on it with Elon dressed basically like the Queen of England in the pink petticoat and the hat and everything, and wrote,
Oh,
bought this before he became the first lady. And it was basically like hey, we didn't really know he was that much of a piece of shit.
yeah.
I just posted a picture. I was like, I do not hate this. That's not the one that went viral, but somebody found
Valid.
it and was like, centrist libs will always be like this. And I'm just like, what if people can admit their mistakes while being stuck with a car that they now can't sell?
Exactly.
And they need to let you know they're on their side while still understanding, like, oops, they bought this in 2017 before he was doing the real visible Nazi.
This is what I am going to say. As someone who is obsessed with craftsmanship, I had a friend buy a Tesla and not friend, sorry, coworker buy a Tesla. And all of my coworkers like, oh, this car is so amazing. I went inside it and I was like, this thing is made horribly.
Yeah.
I would not want to drive this car. So like, it's fine if you have a Tesla, but you kind of jumped on a dumb bandwagon.
Yep. You thought you were doing the right thing by buying the early gen whatever, right?
Yes.
But I was just like, hey man, this person's clearly admitting a mistake. It's too late for them to do anything with this car. The values of
Absolutely.
Teslas have plummeted. They're gonna have to ride this out, but they want you to know that they do not approve of the owner. And they were like, no. They like replied like, I'm not gonna do that. Because I was like, maybe we should give people some grace for admitting that they make mistakes.
You
And
mean
they were like,
people are
no,
human beings?
blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, okay. And then I looked at their account and saw that the number one thing that they said was that they are addicted to Diet Coke. And I went, do you
That's
not
not a personality.
know? But also I was like, have you never heard of Coca-Cola? Do you not know about the way worse they have done? About all the
Yeah.
people that tried unionizing in South America that they murdered? Like, you are supporting a company that not only has destroyed the health of our country,
Yeah.
but also that has done way worse. And I was just like I think I was like the cognitive dissonance of your response in that when other people do something, you do not give them grace, and yet you are platforming literally one of the worst companies that exists is so funny. I think I was like, it would be funny if it wasn't so sad.
It's a lot of work to be that angry all the
Yeah.
time,
And they
and I'm
just blocked me.
tired.
And
Yeah.
I was like, we both win. Because I was just sitting there and I'm just like, I hope you at least thought
Yeah.
about what I said here, because you saying anybody with a Tesla can go straight to hell while you're obsessing over Diet Coke. Ooh, you're a idiot.
I got in a fight with someone about AI. And similarly, I just was like, they're like, you're not being very open minded about AI and what it could do. And I was like, nothing AI has ever made me be like, this is worth destroying the careers of my friends
Yeah.
and
And the
people that I
planet.
love
Yeah.
and the planet. Like, it's none of it's worth it. So, like, keep your shitty AI. Anyway, this has been an anti AI podcast.
It has always been an anti-AI podcast. And as a reminder, if you guys, I know people like to send me stuff on social media, don't send me AI posts. No matter who they're making fun of, don't do it. I think it's slop and I don't want it shared because I don't want them to get those numbers.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, I have, I mean, look, editing, like there's AI editing software, there's all this. It's like I'm still going to pay my editor. Like there's AI everything. I'm not interested. Art, AI cannot produce art because that is not what art is. Art is a human expression.
AI is also just not good at making choices yet because it's just training on stuff like an algorithm. It doesn't really understand the content. So if you're editing for content or if you're editing for something that makes sense, like it's just not good yet. Maybe someday it will be, but right now it's not even good. So why would you use it?
I mean, just don't
No,
use it.
that sh-
Andrea, is there anything else, like a website or anything we should be checking out?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
do
know
have a
you do.
website.
I
Wow,
know.
you're
That's
so
why I
good
brought
at
it.
throwing. I caught that. I have a website. It is andreaguzzetta.com. I have
How'd you come up
prints.
with that name?
It was really difficult, but all in all, I just decided,
You're like, I
you
had to buy
know,
it off of Domino's.
I'm not just a
I had it.
businesswoman, I am a business. uh
Andre Z, everybody.
Andre C. That was the original content. Yeah, it's just like prints, stickers. You can buy an original painting on there if you want to. Occasionally, I will drop my pet portraits. They're like commissions, but right now I'm kind of too busy to do any more commissions unless
No,
you're
are
in
you?
that
Are you just so busy
250. I'm
working?
just like I just like have so much on my plate. It's crazy. I've had to say no to so much this year. I just
Mm.
can't. Everyone just wants me.
I'm just so successful
I'm
at
just
art.
still poor, but somehow busy all the time.
Oh, buddy. Oh man. Do you ever see the gif of Sylvester the cat like with 6 cigarettes in his mouth
Yes.
pouring a cup of coffee? That's so relatable to me because I'm just sitting there and I'm just being like, man, for as exhausted, tired, and busy I am, I should have more money.
I should have so much more money, but you know what? I'm paying for it by being able to stay home with my dog and make pasta sauce in the crock pot today and just recording podcasts all day. Like it's
Yeah.
been an amazing day, but that's why I'm poor. So it's
Great
fine.
Monday.
Fantastic Monday.
Yeah. But yes, you're right. Yeah. You're like, I'm giving my dog a deeper anxiety and attachment issues,
This poor dog, she's already on Prozac. Like I'm doing my best.
which is also like a thing where we're like, should we be doing this?
she here's the thing. Before she was on Prozac, she was chewing holes in my sweaters when
You
I
should
would
be doing
leave
this. Yes. Okay.
because she's so anxious about the separation. So she stopped chewing holes in things. Now she just shakes when I put my shoes on. So
Yeah. Dog.
my
What kind of
boyfriend,
dog is it?
she's a Chihuahua
Okay.
Boston Terrier mix.
Oh, great. So
My
low.
boy, yeah, low maintenance, very chill, great dog. But like, boyfriend just found her running through traffic. Like, she's clearly just a stray dog. And so I like potty trained her in 2 weeks. Like, she's very smart, but
Like
that's the problem.
potty trained.
Yeah, she had never been indoors. She was just a stray animal.
Oh, for a second, I thought like your dog uses the toilet.
Oh no, that would be incredible. I
Sarah
wish I
Lawrence
was
did
that
that with her
good.
cat.
Yeah, I've heard people can do that with cats because
Yeah.
they like slowly they like put litter over the thing.
Yeah, you put and you basically like put the box, like there's like a box that you can put in the center space. The whole like
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, AndreaGuzzetta.com,
Buy cool shit.
patreon.com/Andrea Guzzetta, at Andrea Guzzetta on Instagram, and bluesky.social. Whatever. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
We
having me.
appreciate that. Folks, if you're listening for free, this is about the episode. This is it. This is done. We're about done. All I'm going to do is my plugs. But if you're a member of patreon.com/Jeff May, you can get even more bonus content with Andrea and I. Very exciting. Maybe we're going to play some games. Who knows? And on top of that, you can hear more from me, of course, if you are listening for free, patreon.com/Jeff May. You can not only get early access to uncensored episodes of this show, plus early access to Nerd with Dre Alvarez and the exclusive Ugg Fine with Kim Kroll. But on top of that, too, you can also get cards in the mail because I open cards on I Must Break You at Jeff Has Cool Cards on YouTube.
Oh,
I know. I'm at Hey There Jeffro across all social media except Instagram, where I'm at Hey There Jeffro 2. Because Hey There Jeffro, the original, was murdered by Meta.
R.I.P.
They said I was a prostitute. No,
What?
they said I was soliciting sex.
Jeffrey.
I know. I never even got to do that,
That's
which
really
would have
such a
been nice.
bummer. Yeah.
But
Show a
of
leg
course,
for the just show a little leg for the Patreons.
show a little. I know. I guess maybe the exercise. Maybe I would post a thirst trap of after boxing, where I'm just. It's the reality is I'm just tired and I'm not wearing a shirt. And I'm like,
Do you want to see a man sweat through a shirt? Patreon.com.
I will say this, man. I wish I like when I run, I have to run shirtless because I overheat so much.
Yeah.
No matter what the temperature is. If I wear like a tank top and I go for a jog, I'm like gonna black out within half a mile. It sucks.
We were made for the cold.
This pasty ass skin was
Yeah,
trying
we
to
were not
blend in
made.
with a blizzard. Yeah. Patreon, if you go, I do Tom and Jeff Watch Batman on Gamefully Unemployed. Plus, I do all the great stuff with Adam Todd Brown on the You Don't Even Like This network. For now, bye, freeloaders. Say goodbye to the freeloaders, Andrea.
Bye, freeloaders.
Bye.
Thank you for being here.
Hey, everyone. Our artwork is created by Justin T. Brown, who can be found at Artness by Justin Brown on Instagram, as well as artnessbyjustinbrown.com. That dope music you heard is by Troy Nababon, available at Troy Nababon on Instagram, as well as at troynababon.com. Nababon is spelled Nababon.